what would make us better at focusing and what focusing better really is. So let's take a step back and think about how we focus and how to get better at focus. And I'm going to share with you a tool for which there are terrific research data that will allow you in a single session to enhance your ability to focus, in theory, forever. What I'm about to read you is from an excellent book that I recommend if any of you are interested in neuroscience and things like meditation and default mode networks and things of that sort. The book is called Altered Traits. Science Reveals How Meditation Changes Your Mind, Brain, and Body. This is a book by Daniel Goleman and Richard Davidson. And I should just mention that Goleman is a well-known author. He's written books on emotional intelligence and so forth. Richard Davidson is also a PhD. He's a professor of psychology and psychiatry, and he's at a University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's done terrific work on brain states and modulation of brain states and so forth. What we're about to talk about is when attention works and when attention falters. And what we are specifically going to talk about are what are called attentional blinks. Not actual eye blinks. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but we're going to talk about attentional blinks. Attentional blinks are really easy to understand if you think about a Where's Waldo task. You know this task, Where's Waldo, where there are a bunch of people and objects and things in a picture, and somewhere in there is Waldo with the striped hat and the glasses and kind of a skinny dude, and you have to find Waldo. And so it's a visual search, and it's visual search for an object that has distinct features but is embedded in this ocean of other things that could easily be confused as Waldo. So you tend to look, and then you find Waldo. Kids can do this. They enjoy doing this. Adults may or may not enjoy it, but they can do it too. They find Waldo. When you find Waldo, or when you search for a target in some other visual search task, at that moment, your nervous system celebrates a little bit. And it celebrates through the release of neurochemicals that make you feel good. You found it, and you pause. Now, the pause is interesting because when you pause, what we know from many experiments is that in that moment of pause and mild celebration, however mild, you are not able to see another Waldo sitting right next to it. So what this means is in attending to something, in searching, and in identifying a visual target, your attention blinked. It shut off for a second. And there's a more formal and more laboratory type way that we look at this. The more typical way to do this is to give someone a string of letters or a string of numbers, and beforehand you tell them, be on the lookout for the letters R and Z. Okay? You're just going to watch this string of numbers go by, and there will be a letter R in there, and there will be a letter Z in there, and try and spot them both. And what you find is when you present that string of numbers, and then they see the R, they register it consciously, and they tend to miss the Z, just like in the Waldo type example. Now, of course, the numbers are going by pretty quickly, but they can spot the R. They could also spot the Z if you told them beforehand, just spot the Z. And the numbers are moving through at the same rate in both conditions. So what that means is that in every case, you are capable of seeing the R or the Z. It's when you try and see both that seeing the first one prevents you from seeing the second one. It's what we call an attentional blink. We do this all the time, and people with ADHD tend to have many more attentional blinks than people that don't. And this is true for children and for adults. This is an important point, so important that I want to emphasize it twice in case you attentionally blinked. If you see something that you're looking for, or you're very interested in something, you are definitely missing other information. In part because you're over-focusing on something. And this leads to a very interesting hypothesis about what might go wrong in ADHD, where we've always thought that they cannot focus, and yet we know they can focus on things they care very much about. Well, maybe, just maybe, they are experiencing more attentional blinks than people who do not have ADHD. And indeed, there are data now to support the possibility that that's actually what's happening. And that should be exciting to anyone that has ADHD. It should also be exciting to anyone that cares about increasing their focus and their ability to attend. What this is saying is that these circuits that underlie focus and our ability to attend and our ability to eliminate distraction, they aren't just failing to focus. That's just a semantic way of describing the outcome. They are over-focusing on certain things and thereby missing other things. And so our distractibility, or the distractibility of somebody with ADHD, could exist because they are over-focusing on certain elements and they are therefore missing other elements that they should be attending.